On a low branch above the mangrove roots, one small life is already facing the tide. A Scarlet Ibis chick lies almost motionless, too young to stand, too small to escape. Below the nest, dark water creeps through the roots, rising with the slow rhythm of the coast. Its parent can only do what generations before it have done: stand close, hold position, and shield the nest. Before this tide came in, this island was a quiet nursery in the mangroves. Scarlet ibises gather here in color so bright, it seems to light up the green canopy. But even in a colony, each nest has its own fragile story. At low tide, the mudflats open, and the adults search for food in the shallow water. When the tide turns, that feeding ground begins to disappear. In the main nest, a single egg rests among dry twigs, held above the dark channel below. The place is beautiful, but it is never fully still. Wind, rain, and water decide the pace of life here. The parents strengthen the nest a little at a time, placing each twig where it matters most. For now, the egg is warm, protected by the red bodies moving above it. The mud flat is open. A light wind tests the branch, and the nest answers with a small tremble. Clouds gather over the island. The mangroves darken before the first drops arrive. Rain touches the nest, then passes, leaving the eggs safe beneath the leaves. Then, a change so small it could be missed. Of its first day alive. A tiny bill presses against the opening, turning weakness into movement. At last the shell gives way, and the nest holds something more fragile than the egg. The chick breathes in short, shallow motions, its damp down clinging close to its body. One parent clears the broken shell, making space for the life that remains. The other returns from the mud flat, its red plumage sharp against the wet green island. The chick opens its bill for the first time. A first feeding is brief, but for this chick, it is the beginning of strength. Out on the mud, small prey move through the shallows. The adult works quickly, probing the soft ground before the tide returns. Back at the nest, the chick responds more clearly now, its body learning the rhythm of hunger and care. But the water begins to rise again, covering the tracks left only minutes before. Each inch of water changes the island, turning feeding paths into channels. The adult hurries through the last open patches. Above the nest, a wing becomes shade, and shade becomes protection. The mangrove canopy begins to move harder, and the nest shifts under the wind. The chick tries to turn, its small body still unsure of the twigs beneath it. Now the water has reached the root zone below. Around the colony, birds adjust their positions. The island is entering its roughest hour. Rain thickens over the mangroves, softening the colors and soaking the nest edge. The parent lowers its body over the chick, turning scarlet feathers into a living roof. Even in the rain, feeding continues. Survival here is made of small, repeated chances. The tide reaches its highest point, not a wave, but a slow pressure around the roots. The nest trembles, yet the branch holds, and the chick stays inside. For a moment it slips against the twigs, then steadies as the parent shifts it back. The rain weakens. The mangroves begin to breathe again. Water starts to fall away from the roots, revealing the shape of the island beneath. The mudflat returns in pieces, and with it, the chance to feed again. In the nest, the chick is drying, its down no longer pressed flat by the storm. Its eyes open more clearly now, and the world above the nest comes into focus. Another meal arrives, and this time the chick reaches with more control. Around it the colony settles, red birds returning to their places in the green canopy. The nest is repaired again, not rebuilt, just carefully kept alive. The chick turns on its own, a small movement, but a real milestone. A new gust crosses the branch, and the chick grips the nest beneath it. For the first time, it rises higher, testing its legs against the uneven twigs. It lowers itself safely, not ready to leave, but stronger than before. The tide channel brightens, and an adult flies through the clearing air. The chick begs with more force now, its weakness slowly turning into appetite. Another feeding closes the long middle of the day, and the nest feels less like a trap. More balanced, more present, more alive. After wind, rain, and rising water, the parent watches the water withdraw, reading the island as carefully as any map. The mudflat opens wide once more, and feeding becomes calmer in the returning light. Back at the nest, the chick receives its meal without the panic of the storm. In the canopy, the colony glows red again, spread across the green mangrove island. Parent and chick share the same frame, one body built for the wetland, one still becoming. The tide will return, so will the wind, the rain, and the hunger. But this small chick has survived its first test on the mangrove island